Hey everyone, it's Corey here, and I'm super excited because today we are going to look at drum mic placement around the drum kit in the studio in an untreated room to get your drums to sound the best that they can. Let's check it out. Okay, you guys, so that was just a little clip of me jamming out. I hope you enjoyed it. I get all my tracks from Epidemic Sound. I just download the stems and then I drop them right into Pro Tools. It tells you the BPM so you can put a click to it and then you can just jam. So I hope you enjoyed that. But moving on, we're gonna talk about drum mic placement. All right, you guys, so I am actually behind the camera for this part of the video. And I'm going to kind of go around through all the drum mics and kind of show you guys the drum mic placement that I'm using. So let's start with the kick drum. The kick drum mic, I'm using an AKG D112. You can see that it's actually not in the hole. Now, if I want to get more attack out of my kick drum, then I'll put it down there in the kick port hole there. But lately I've been digging more of the natural kick sound, and so I've got it dead center, about 3 inches from the head there. Moving on to the snare mic, I'm using a 57 on the top, and I love using 57s. They're, in my opinion, the best mic for your snare drum, but let me go over here so you can see a better angle. So I've got this pointing dead center at the head, but it's not pointing directly down. See, if I do this all the way down, you're gonna get a lot more attack out of the drum, kind of more dryness sound. I don't want that. I'm gonna almost flatten the mic and point it across the snare drum so that I'm getting every little detail across the snare there to the mic. And so that's just kind of how I do it. There's not a right way or a wrong way, really. For my hi-hat, I've actually got the mic underneath the hi-hat here. I'm using a cheap CAD. I got it from Musician's Friend for like 20 bucks on a sale, but normally they're like 90 bucks, which is still really cheap for an overhead mic, you guys. I have this pointing directly under to the center of the hats. The reason I do this is because I like my hi-hats here to sound a little beefier. than what some people do. I don't like my hi-hats to sound wimpy and too high end, so I point it directly there. If I want more attack from the hi-hat, then I'll move this mic up above and get more attack out of the hi-hat that way. But I've been doing this lately, and it cuts snare drum bleed through into that mic as well, which really helps out in my mix. Moving on to the tom mics, I like to point these kind of like the snare across the drum, but I like to angle them down just a little bit right directly to the center of the head here, because that's exactly where I hit the toms. I don't really hit the toms on the edges very often unless I'm going for that sound. So you can see here, you might be able to see it better on this one. It's directly towards the center, and you can kind of see I've got it about 3 or 4 inches up from the drum and pointing right across to the center. So that's how I got my toms mic'd. My overheads up here, I've got some more of those CAD mics. This one here, I've got it kind of in between the crash, hi-hat, and snare, and it's angling out across the kit right to where I would sit. That's because I really want to get a lot of attack out of the snare drum. And when I'm mixing, I mix my overheads very heavy into my drum mix. I've got my overhead mics really hot. They take up about over half of my mix, honestly, and then I'm just mixing in the rest of the dry sounds to blend into the overhead sound. On this overhead, kind of the same thing, except I'm pointing it back across this way. There's a lot of overhead drum mic techniques out there that you can YouTube and look up on Google. This is just how I've been doing it. Let me go over here and maybe you guys can see it a little bit better. There you go. So that's how I'm doing it right now. You can see they're pretty much the same height and everything. A good tip is to start with just your overheads first when you're getting your mix dialed in, and get your overheads sounding the best that you can. So move them around, get the whole kit sounding really great with just those 2 mics, or 3, however many you have, or just 1. Get that sounding really good, and then blend in all of these mics here and add that dry sound into your mix, and you'll find that your drums will start sounding really good if you start doing that. That's just from experience that I've learned that. I have a lot of studio friends that do that as well. So that's just a really helpful tip. And then you guys know that you have to run your mics into a interface. And so I'm rocking the Sapphire Pro 40 here, 8-channel interface. And all my mics go directly into this. Here are my gain levels. 1 is kick, 2 snare, and so forth. Guys, my overheads are the hottest, and then my kick and snare are probably second hottest. So that's kind of how I do it. I'm running into Pro Tools here on my MacBook. But I've got all this stuff in more videos, and I'm going to be doing several other videos of different topics and so forth. So that is my drum mic setup, and I hope that kind of gives you guys some insight on how I'm recording things right now. There's a ton of techniques out there, you guys. So this is not the only way to do it, and it's important to keep that in mind. But when you're in a room like I am that's not treated, like check this out. I'll turn the camera again. When you're in a room, like we've got these on the wall to kind of help, but they honestly don't really do anything. Like we're literally in this little drop ceiling room. See all this? And it's not a very big room, so it sounds very dead in here. When I snap, it doesn't really ring. So I'm pulling a lot from those overheads because I want to get that nice ambient room sound from the drums, and I want a natural sound, and then I'll blend in those mics. Now it might be a different scenario if I'm in an actual studio and the room's treated. Then I might consider adding more of the dry mics instead of the room mics. But then again, like room mics make stuff sound so good, and overheads, if you get your overheads sounding great, that really makes your drum mix, you guys. So keep that in mind when you're placing your drum mics. And like I said, you know, your overheads are like the most important part of your mix, and so just try to get a really good sound using your overheads first. and then add the rest of the mics to your kit. And that'll really help your mix, you guys. I promise you it'll help your mix a ton. It really helped me out. I just started doing this method when I moved into this room a couple months ago, and it's just really helped my mix out, you guys. So give this a try at home. Nothing fancy. I'm not hiding anything. This is exactly how I place my mics for my videos, and so really hope this helps somebody out. Really hope. And I'm gonna do more videos, lessons, tutorials, things like that. Drop a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and guys, leave me a comment on what you want me to make videos about. I've got a ton of stuff I could talk about, but I just need to know what you guys want to hear from me, and I will gladly make a video to show you guys. So I hope this really helps you guys out when you're recording your drums and placing your drum mics at home. Give me a shout out if you try this method, and let me know how it works for you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.